See if that works. Now we gonna go. Oh, so it's working. All right, cool. Nice. So, all right, my fault. I just got a little moment. So then I'm just trying to see how like it all registers. Let me see. Noise. Yeah, it sounds pretty quick. Yeah, it sounds pretty quick. At this point, I'm just watching myself. Yo, that's hilarious. I what? It sounds I wonder if I can change that. Oh, let's see if I said something. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say yo yo. Oh, okay, I see it quicker. Yo, okay, playing around. The texting is quicker, but the video has a lag. But why I keep hearing the same? It's like a whole loop. All right. Yeah, I'm that small. Oh, maybe because it's Facebook. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm feeling great. I'm just testing stuff right now. We got Razo. Thank you for asking though. I feel I'm more than okay. I'm great. I feel good. I feel great. I'm just playing with this right now to kind of just see how things is working and just making sure that I have things in my preference. Like this is the mic is pretty good, but I find it to be like a little bit too um muffled in a way. I don't know if it has anything to do with the streaming platform. And honestly, I came on 10 minutes earlier just to make sure that everything is in line. This is my first time doing this. So this is freaking dope. This is dope stuff. Where's trying to get something here. Oh, We got 5 minutes intermission. We ain't starting yet. We're gonna give people a couple time too. So just bear with me. I mean, yo, I'm about to put like background music. Yo, I'm getting so many ideas as this is already my first time, but I kind of just want to get right into like reading and whatnot because that's the energy that I'm at right now, and I can really indulge in myself in doing so many other things, but I don't want to do that to you guys and myself. So let's see. I wonder. I think the mic. Yeah. So I have to. It's probably because the sun too. 'Cause the sun, natural lighting. Come on. We're gonna have natural lighting. Okay. See. I feel like I'll really be able to have the chance to use the soundboard. What's up? What's up? I'm just here having fun real quick before we start at 12. We got 4 minutes. We're gonna be reading. We're gonna be doing some stuff that I be doing on my own time. So why not do it with you guys? And like, I just wanted to do something different and just get a vibe for streaming. I've never streamed before, but with podcasting and whatnot and doing episodes, that's always fun. But I feel like I'd be having a lot of moments where I'm like spontaneous and I have something to say or I want to talk about something or I want to get into something, and a lot of those times is not really planned out. Like when you do a podcast episode, it's kind of planned out, and every so often I try to like find myself to sit down and then record. But what about doing some times where, like just going live and making it more organic and yeah, just getting right into it and then being able to hear, you guys kind of say your feedback, say your thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. It's kind of what I've been doing with my master's program, with my first semester, doing like that debate class. That debate class is crazy. Matter of fact, I was actually looking for something. I'm getting so locked in over here. I was looking for my phone stand because I could at least go on Instagram Live too with my fellow Instagram Live. Uh, all right, that's fine. The old, I'm gonna use a candle to have this go up. All right, we going live for the first time. Cool, cool. All right, we're gonna get into it. How do you go live on this? All right, cause they be I swear they be changing stuff on Instagram back and forth. That is dumb, yo. Is that just Why does it do that, yo? Watch. See, I have the live on my personal one, but why don't I have it on the rally cry? Is that back and forth stuff? It's crazy. Why don't I have live, bruh? That is so annoying. It's like, how can two different accounts have different stuff? That makes no sense to me. I have what? Hide your story in live. So I have a thing about live, but what is going on here? What is going on? I have no idea. Yo, this is corny. We're having technical difficulties on this side. On this side. What does it do? Maybe I have to. Is it? No way. You have to have 1,000 followers, bro. That's corny. That's so corny. Like, I mean, I guess like you have to have a. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna do a quick update. All right, so we are going live now, and honestly, I was gonna go on here live as well, but apparently you have to have 1,000 followers in order for you to go live, which is it's just like corny. It's just like for what? Like why? So I'm just gonna go on my personal account and go live on there. So if you know me, you know me. If not, go on YouTube and you will catch me live there. So see you soon. That's what we're gonna do. I need to change that. Oh wait, what's this? I think I can even do that. Can I do that? Yo, just bear with me. Can I mirror? That'd be dope. If it could connect to my phone like that. See, I'm gonna be playing with this. I can move myself and stuff. Yeah. See, this is dope. And if I wanted to add a source, oh, and then I have to add a browser. Okay. Okay. So if I had one, oh, if I went, okay, what if I don't? If I went, okay, window capture. What is that? All right, cool. Let me not move this around. Oh, move that. All right, so I'll play with that other time. We're gonna get right into it. I'm just gonna go here, and we're gonna just go live over here. I'm not even gonna. Let me see. Yeah. But apparently, you have apparently you need to have. All right, so we're gonna put you guys over here. We're gonna go now. We're live on Instagram and we live on YouTube for the first time. For the first time. All right, let me. All right, so let me see right here. I can see. All right, dope. I am so excited. So I feel like in the beginning is gonna feel like I'm kind of just, I'm really used to talking in the mirror. I talk in the mirror just because, sometimes we gotta look at ourselves and, just have a conversation, just be honest and just go open. We can't wait for other people to come to us and, for us to like whatever it is that we want to talk about. I feel like speaking out loud is like the best therapy, and sometimes it's not. It's like just letting it out, like that thought, that feeling, and just being able to just express yourself. And so when you can continue doing that when it's by yourself, it's gonna be so much easier for you to get into any other conversation with someone because you've done it so many times. It's like we sometimes overthink that if we practice in one way, we have to practice in other ways to be able to get other stuff. So, right, man, we're gonna get right into this book right here. So, A Course in Miracles, and it's crazy because when I had got this book, um, it was really. Let me see right quick. I'm gonna just put this here. See, this is a learning experience. Cool. Yo, I'm like learning mad stuff right now. I'm just trying to see where's this. All right, cool. All right. I'm trying to see what happened to. Put me in the box like that, and shoot. So let me see something real quick. 'Cause I want to see and make sure it's working the way it's supposed to. Because I'm also about. It's interesting that's running it like that. All right. Hmm. Wonder why it looks like that. Hmm. Making sure that to the window. No, I don't want that. All right. So if I were preview, okay. Very nice, very nice, very nice. All right. I think I'm just gonna figure that out later. I was trying to see on why the resolution is the way it is. I mean, hey, you can still hear me though. So you can see me, you can hear me. At the end of the day, that's what matters. So we're just gonna get right into it. Well, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We're just gonna. I just thought, hey, dang, I wanted to make sure it was good, but it's all right. That is perfectly fine. All right, so let's get into this book because I've been really wanting to read this book, and I have been already reading it, but as in like reading it in front of you guys and kind of like hearing what you guys think. So as I'm reading along, if you have any thoughts or anything like that, put it down in the description so that I can see your comment, and then we can like just talk about it together. And this book is called a course of miracles. We got Instagram over here, and then we got you guys over here on YouTube. And this book was a book that was given to me, and it's funny. So how I got this book is I live in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I had went to Putnam and went to a group like a mental health group that they have there for the high schoolers. And I'm all about mental health, I'm all about self improvement, I'm all about ways to improve in the environment that we're in and all this other sustainability. Like, come on, it's really about having the kind of environment, the kind of people, so that we can uplift one another and just have a life that we can feel more proud of. To be able to have the resources, etc. I could go on, but the moral story is, the guy had came to me after knowing all the stuff that I do and just kind of articulating myself, presenting myself, and he was like, "Oh, wait, you stay right here. I want to give you something." I was like, "What? A gift? Oh, okay." And he gave me this book. And mind you, right, I'm a big person when it comes to law of attraction, and it was like when I got this book, I was like, "A Course in Miracles, the text, the workbook, the manual for teachers, the advent of a great awakening." And I'm just like, this is like a pretty hefty book. And then I look in the back and it says, "This is a course in miracles. Herein lies the peace of God." From the introduction, a course of miracles. I'm like, okay, so this is God given. And so I haven't really read the book since he's given me it. I think it was like earlier this year, and or probably around that time. And I just started reading it now. I felt there's a moment in time where I'm reading and then I'm like so adamant with reading, and then after a while then I need to give myself a break. And then when I went to my master's program, I've done so much reading and writing in that course. It was just like beyond me. I was just like, bro, what the. So now that I been able to digress, I'm able to now go into reading the books that I want to read. And so here, I was gonna say watch, but I'm gonna kind of go into some of the highlights that I already had. And this honestly talks in ways of God in a way, but it's not a Bible. It's not a Bible. Maybe they can grab things from the Bible and decipher it like the Bible, but it's not the Bible. Um, I don't consider myself to be Christian or anything like that, but I do believe in God, and I do have faith, and I do have the belief in higher power, law of attraction, and energy, and all the other stuff. And I feel like there's a lot to understand. I went to a meditation retreat for a week. It was last year that I had went, and I haven't been able to go this year, but it is something that I do want to be able to do every year. And so when I had went to the meditation retreat, I had learned a lot about myself, and I think it's just a matter of being able to be in a space when you're able to think for yourself and not have any distractions. I mean, we have distractions all over the place. We got social media, we got family, we got friends, we got significant other. We ourselves can even want to distract ourselves because we feel like we need to be doing something, like that's cleaning and that's, you know, just doing something productive. I'm guilty. I always find that I have to be doing something, but sometimes doing absolutely nothing is good enough. So, what up? What up? What up, Hash? We got you over here on IG, and we got some other people over here on YouTube. We're gonna be getting into this book, Course of Miracles, just talking about how I got the book and just things that I believe in and whatnot. And so I'm not gonna read from where I had started, but from where I started, I'm a big highlighter guy, and as we're reading, I'm gonna be highlighting as well because I'm really reading this book with you guys. But we can at least cover the highlights that I had put out when I started reading this book. So, and let me guys know if you're here in the chat. Just say hi, wave, or anything like that, just so I know I'm not only talking to myself. Trust me, I love talking to myself. I do it regardless, but it's always good to hear a hi, or it's like what I say to my clients, right? So I'm a therapeutic mentor, and sometimes I have my 7-year-old, my 60-year-old, and they just stare or whatnot, and I don't know what it is that kids be doing that. I'm like, yo, it's not really nice to stare. So if you're here, it's not nice to stare. Just say hi, So let's not be weird. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just being funny and expressing the manner of it. So all right, let's get into it. The Course in Miracles. Jesus, can I get an amen? So all right, so the meaning of miracles. There's a couple principles here, and one thing that has stuck out to me was one is not harder or bigger than the other. They are all the same, meaning as in the difficulties, the challenges, the disparities, whatever it is that you're going through. It's like we might think that what I'm going through is a lot or what you're going through is a lot, but all of it is within the same. And I mean, how many times we go through something and then we find out that, oh, this is harder than the last one. For some reason, it feels like one thing we go through is hard, and then we go through something else, and we're like, damn, if it's not one thing, it's another. So just food for thought, right? It's just because something is hard for you doesn't mean that it's more than someone else's challenge or whatever it is that they're going through. So let's just be mindful because we don't know how people take on certain things. Everybody, like one of my clients said, everybody thinks differently, right? Just checking in and stuff. So, all right, so miracles are healing because they supply a lack. They are performed by those who temporarily have more for those who temporarily have less. Honestly, I take that as in like there's some people that have energy and there's some people that don't have that much energy. And the ones that have the most energy give to people that have less energy. And, it's kind of this whole facilitation. It's the same thing like in a relationship. Sometimes I'm 100%. My significant other could be 60%. I have 100%. I'm willing to give that other percent that you may feel like you need. You know what I mean? And sometimes you might not need it. Maybe you're just letting me know that you're 60%, and that's perfectly fine. And I learned a word called atoning, and atoning means undoing. And so atoning means undoing. The undoing of fear is an essential part of atonement value of miracles. So everything you're doing is an undoing, right? And the matter of it is basically like if you want to change, if you want to be able to feel like there's a better version of yourself, you have to undo the thing that you no longer want to do. And sometimes we think that is about just going back and then realizing that, oh, this is what I got to change. But sometimes it's just moving forward. It's like undoing something is literally just moving forward and moving forward with that thought that you need to undo something. Dope stuff. I'm just going through the parts that I had already went through. It says here, the Holy Spirit mediates higher to the lower communication. keeping the direct channel from God to you open for revelation. Revelation is not reciprocal. It proceeds from God to you, but not from you to God. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought about how basically we get the answers from a higher power. And we necessarily don't have the answers, right? Sometimes some things just come to you, you get an idea. Where does that come from? Right? Because scientifically, biologically, all the things that we know, we can't just have it in our head. Everything that we know is not just in our head. It's almost like it's in a it's in a cloud, and we get triggered to remember it, and then we say the thing that we remember. But if we were try to have all the information that we've learned from we were born to the age that we are now, like I'm 27, like my head will blow up because it's not likely for us to be able to have all the knowledge that we've gained since we were young. So to say that, it proceeds from God to you, not from you to God, it's like God is basically your iCloud storage. I'm just saying, like, that's just a good way to put it. What's up, Alonzo? How you doing? We over here reading a book, you know what I mean? Because, why not? That's how I look at it. So I'm just going over the parts that I had read, and I'm just kind of highlighting the things that had struck out to me, and then we're going to actually read. So I'm just going over it and then just kind of breaking it down to how I see it and whatnot. So then we had talked about the separation and atonement, which again, atonement means undoing. And then we got here, I highlighted God extended himself to his creations and imbued them to the same loving will to create. I mean, for all my Christians, for all the people that believe in God, the ones that go to church and stuff like that, I mean, we've probably heard it where is people get the misconception to think that, oh, all these things sounds like we're God. I mean, we're a part of God, so therefore we have things in his likeness, meaning as he created us, we're also capable of being able to create another being, right? Right? Like, I mean, you make sure to choose on how you do that, but that's exactly what I get from that. That's just kind of like reassuring in a different frame. Another highlight I have here is the knowledge that eliminates not only sets you free, but also shows you clearly that you are free. And it reminds me somewhere in here it talks about how the body is the actual instrument that allows us to learn, while our mind is the instrument for us to understand. And that the knowledge itself allows us to paint a path for us to understand that the things that we know allows us to feel free to do the thing that we know we can do, right? If I don't know I can do it, I won't do it. If I know I can do it, I'll do it. And sometimes a little bit of that knowing is just believing and believing that you know. Come on, like, can I get an amen? Like, and then it's funny, this low key is feeling like church service, but it's not church service. This is just a book that I found gravitating to me, and I just want to read it, and I'm glad that I'm doing it with you guys. And some other highlights, we got you correct your previous missteps by stepping forward. Exactly what I was mentioning earlier. And then we said all healing is essentially the release from fear. We all are scared about something, right? We're all anxious about something. I mean, I know around the people that I'm around, one of the things is kind of like stage fright and being in front of a large audience, and sometimes that can definitely be daunting. I mean, I still feel like I have moments where I'm like kind of nervous and maybe I like stumble on my words and stuff, but going against that is how you know you're healing. Going against the thing that you fear, because in the abbreviation of fear, it says face everything and rise. I mean, hey, you can. It's all perspective, man. It's all perspective. Another highlight, we said, this is what I was just mentioning earlier. The body is merely a part of your experience in the physical world. Its abilities can be frequently overevaluated. However, it is almost impossible to deny the existence in this world. Those who do are engaging in a particular unworthy form of denial. The term unworthy here implies only that it is not necessary to protect the mind by denying the unmindful. If one denies this unfortunate aspect of the mind's power, one is also denying the power itself. And I was like, It's like where you hear ignorance is bliss or cognitive dissonance, where the thing is that sometimes people are doing things that are unethical or it's just wrong, and or maybe they shouldn't do it because it's just not good for them, and but they still do it, and that's what you call cognitive dissonance. Body makes its own illness. The illness has a significantly strong hold over the mind to render a person temporarily inaccessible to the undoing, aka atonement. Uh, this is because the last thing that can help the non-right minded or the sick is the increase of fear. They are already in fear weakened state. Understand without fear. That's what you got to do. Understand without fear. That's what you want to do. Physical medications are forms of spells, but if you are afraid to use your mind to heal, you shouldn't attempt to do so. I wonder what they mean by physical medications, because there's a lot of physical medications. We obviously know the pharmaceutical companies, but we also know holistic and plants and stuff, which I definitely like. If you love tea, technically that's a spell. So you got to be very mindful on the things that you eat, because the things that you eat really embodies who you are as a person. I mean, like, we have this whole biochemical release and system that happens inside our body. And so therefore you have to be mindful that everything you eat, you are. I remember one time, this is when I used to work at Lowe's, and then there was this one guy that was on a diet, and he had mentioned to me and my friend about how if you eat a depressed chicken, then you'll be depressed. And tell me, when I had first heard that, I was rolling. I was laughing. I was like, what? That sounds crazy. That's ridiculous. But now I get it. I get it. It does make sense, because it's the biochemical release that they release throughout their body, and then now I'm eating that. So it's crazy how that works, yo. I'm telling you, you got to tap in. The body is, however, easily brought into alignment with a mind that is learned to look beyond it toward the light. Basically, over, like, your body might tell you one thing, like, for example, temptation, right? But you want to overlook that and actually look at the principle of what you're trying to do. This is because healing rests on charity, and charity is a way of perceiving the perception of another, even when you cannot perceive it in yourself. Yo, when I had read this part, I was like, this is the reason why churches do charity. Because right here it says the charity that is accorded him is both an acknowledgement that he needs help and the recognition that he will accept it. That's what charity is for. That's the symbolism that is given. I think y'all slick. I just found you out. I just found you out. All right. I wonder. Okay. All right. So I think that's the last highlight. Actually, no. I think I know where I'm at. I think we're right here. All right. Cool. So we're gonna be getting into. Let's see. That was actually a good conversation right there. I felt pretty good about how that was going on. I think we're gonna do this one section here, and it's error and the ego, which is crazy because a lot of people that I come across, and I mean, I've definitely indulged myself in being in my ego. I think, and I believe that you should have the biggest ego in the entire world. Your ego should be so big, you should just know how to control it. That's the difference, right? Sometimes people have so much of an ego, they can't control their own ego, and then they get airheaded, and then they fall flat on their face because their head got so big that they couldn't hold their head, and they fall flat on their face. So that's just a metaphor. But let's get into this section here: error and the ego. All right. So the abilities you now possess are only shadows of your real strength. All of your present functions are divided and open to question and doubt. This is because you are not certain how you will use them and are therefore incapable of knowledge. You are also incapable of knowledge because you can still perceive lovelessly. Perception did not exist until the separation introduced degrees, aspects, and intervals. Spirit has no levels, and all conflict arises from the concept of levels. Only the levels of the Trinity and capable of unity. The levels created by the separation cannot but conflict. This is because they are meaningless to each other. Consciousness, the level of perception, perception, was the first split introduced into the mind after the separation, making the mind a perceiver rather than a creator. Interesting. It makes more sense to the fact that our brain is split, literally. We got the left side and we got the right side. So that makes sense, right? Consciousness is correctly identified as the domain of the ego. The ego is a wrong minded attempt to perceive yourself as you wish to be rather than as you are. Yet, you know yourself only as you are because that is all that you be sure of. Everything else is open to question. The ego is the questioning aspect of the post separation self, which was made rather than created. It is capable of asking questions, but not of perceiving meaningful answers, because these would involve knowledge and cannot be perceived. The mind is therefore confused, because only one mindedness can be without confusion. A separated or divided mind must be confused. It is necessarily uncertain about what it is. It has to be in conflict because it is out of accord with itself. This makes its aspects strangers of each other, and this is the essence of the fear prone condition in which attack is always possible. You have every reason to feel afraid as you perceive yourself. This is why you cannot escape from fear until you realize that you did not and could not create yourself. You can never make your misperceptions true, and your creation is beyond your own error. This is why you must eventually choose to heal the separation. Right mindedness is not to be confused with the knowing mind, because it is applicable only to right perception. You can be right minded or wrong minded, and even this is subject to degrees. Clearly demonstrating that knowledge is not involved, the term right mindedness is properly used as the correction for wrong mindedness and applies to the state of mind that induces accurate perception. It's a miracle minded because it heals misperception. And this is indeed a miracle in view of how you perceive yourself. Perception always involves some misuse of mind because it brings the mind into areas of uncertainty. The mind is very active. When it chooses to be separated, it chooses to perceive. When until then it wills only to know. Afterwards, it can only choose ambiguously. And ambiguously means like more than one meaning. And the only way of ambiguity is clear perception. The mind returns to its proper function only when it knows this place it this places it in the service of spirit, where perception is changed. The mind chooses to divide itself when it chooses to make its own levels. Interesting. But it can only entirely separate itself from spirit, because it is from spirit that it derives its whole power to make or create. Even in miscreation, the mind is affirming its source, or it could merely cease to be. This is impossible because the mind belongs to spirit, which God created and which is therefore eternal. The ability to perceive made the body possible because you must perceive something and with something. That is why perception involves an exchange or translation, which knowledge does not need. The interpretive function of perception, a distorted form of creation, then permits you to interpret the body as yourself in an attempt to escape from the complex you have included. Spirit, which knows, cannot be reconciled with the loss of power because it is incapable of darkness. This makes spirit almost inaccessible to the mind and entirely inaccessible, which is really crazy because in science, the only way we're able to perceive light is because inside our brain is dark. So if we had light inside of our head, we wouldn't be able to perceive light. So that's just interesting when it says spirit which knows cannot be reconciled with the loss of power because it's incapable of darkness. This makes the spirit almost inaccessible to the mind and entirely inaccessible to the body. Therefore, spirit is perceived as a threat because light abolishes darkness merely by showing you it is not there. Truth will always overcome error in this way. This cannot be an active process of correction because, as I've already emphasized, knowledge does not do anything. It can be perceived as an attacker, but it cannot attack. What you perceive as its attack is your own vague recognition that knowledge can always be remembered, never having to be destroyed. Some real stuff right here, yo. God and his creations remain in surety, and therefore know that there's no miscreation exists. Truth cannot deal with errors that you want. I was a man who remembers spirit and its knowledge, but to correct error from the bottom up. I demonstrated both the powerlessness of the power of the body and the power of the mind. But by uniting my will with that of my creator, I naturally remember the spirit and its real purpose. I cannot unite your will with God's for you, but I can erase all misperceptions from your mind if you will bring it under my guidance. Only your misperceptions stand in your way. With them in your choice is certain. Sane perception induces sane choosing. I cannot choose for you, but I can help you make your own right choice. Many are called, but few are chosen. Should be all are called, but few to choose to listen. Therefore, they choose right. They do not choose right. The chosen ones are merely those who choose right sooner. Right minds can do this now, and they will find rest in unto their souls. God knows you only in peace, and this is your reality. Bro, that was fire. I don't know about you, but we got a couple things here that I'm gonna highlight. But damn, that was a pretty darn good section right there. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let me see. Who was it? I like this part because when it comes to spirituality, I think there's three aspects, right? There's the physical, there's the emotional, and then there's spiritual, emotional, and physical, right? Those are like mind, body, and spirit, right? And so you got to be knowledgeable in these areas, but with also understanding that there's a science to it. And literally, they talk about the science right here when it says, where is it? This makes the spirit almost inaccessible to the mind and entirely inaccessible to the body. And this is because, as we know, there is darkness inside of our mind, and so as they're in our body, there's no light in it. And that's why we're called an individual, right? Because we are in divide and dual. Like we are dual personalities. Like we have two beings within us, and that's the body and that's the spirit, right? And our mind is just understanding our own body and our own spirit, but our own body is against our own spirit, is what it's basically saying here, because we are so attached to certain physical items throughout this world, and that's why we get attached to like items and people, and why people can also struggle with temptation and wanting stuff and not having stuff, and how that can be depressing. And then our mind understands that, and then it sticks with us, and then it continues to sustain throughout our body, and for us to be more depressed, more anxious, and all that other stuff. So that's basically all in the hindsight from what I had mentioned in this book. And yo, look, that's only this part of the book. Look how much more there is here. Look. So I was showing Instagram, but look, this right here is what we were like kind of covering, like despite the highlights that I had put, and then the section we did. But look how much left of the book there is. Like, come on, this right here, is really explaining the way that you should see yourself in spirit, right? So I think it's interesting enough. It's Christmas is right around the corner, and there's a lot of things that when it comes to Christmas, also acknowledging that Christmas is a Christian holiday and is not really celebrated in many other religions. And though people have made the tradition to celebrate Christmas because it's about giving, but it's been a condition that has been brought out time. And it's crazy because I was looking into it, but there was one point in time that Christmas was banned and no one was able to celebrate Christmas. And, everybody thought that was absurd. And this was like at a political level. And then, after this person had left the political hierarchy, this position of power, the next person that came in line was like, we're going to reestablish it. But it was definitely like a fight for it. So it was interesting how Christmas has not always been a thing. And when people say, Christmas is the day God was born. I don't believe that. Especially acknowledging about Christmas, Santa, and then how the word Santa has been. Like I'm going on a tangent here, but you see what I'm saying? Like when it comes to spirit, like the Holy Spirit, that also goes into Christmas, right? Christmas is a religious holiday, right? So it's a Christian holiday, as I mentioned before. But let me not go on a tangent. I had you guys for 40 minutes or so. This is the first time doing the stream. I plan on getting a little bit better with this, like as far as like formatting and like having better like quality. I feel like the lighting was going in and out, but I think the most important thing was just hearing me out and then you guys coming on here. Even if it was for a quick minute, a quick check in. Some of you guys said hi and stuff like that, and I appreciate you guys for just checking in and seeing what I'm up to and stuff. And I'm gonna be spontaneous when I do these things, so just make sure that you tune in. And also for the podcast episodes, I've been getting into doing those. At first, I used to do them on bi-weekly Tuesdays. But I feel like with me continuing my master's program, I think that can like vary. So I have been posting on Fridays because I felt like Fridays was pretty good days to post. So just keep on the lookout. I still plan on doing them bi-weekly. I'm not trying to have them too spread out like how I went on my month hiatus. I'm not gonna always go on a hiatus, but I felt like after getting into something new like my master's program, I had to really indulge myself primarily in one area before I had to divide myself in multiple. I wanted to make sure that I had all of my focus in one thing and prioritize something. So I hope you guys have a happy holiday, happy new year, have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you again for tuning in. And until next time, you guys be easy.